Just in case people have somehow avoided the what seems like millions of trailers for this movie that have been played, Onward is the newest movie released from Pixar as of recording this. When I bought tickets to go see it with my family, I was pretty excited but cautious and not expecting too much. The trailer looked okay, and even though I know trailers aren't the best indication of quality, it usually tells you what the tone and overall genre is gonna be. However, I can proudly say that this movie is great. It tackles a lot of themes and elements and overall makes the experience a greatly positive one. Before we talk about those elements though, some background information. Onward is about an elf named Ian and his older brother named Barley, whose dad died. When Ian's birthday rolls around, he's given a present that his dad wanted him to open when he was 16. It's a magical staff that certain people can perform magic with. Barley finds a spell that can turn anyone back to life for one day. Of course, Ian chooses to resurrect his dad, but due to him being a beginner in magic, or really someone who just picked it up that second, I guess, he only summons his dad's bottom half. The boys have to go on an adventure to restore the top half of their dad's body. I think it's only fitting that we start with arguably the most important aspect of this movie, the theme. In my opinion, a great theme can make the movie soar and make an incredible viewing experience. On the other hand, a bad theme can make the movie reek of laziness and overall stupidity. It's why I love the themes in Lego Movie 2, and why I love that movie, and the reason Captain Marvel gets worse every time I think about it. This movie has two main themes that intertwine throughout the story. Both of them are carefully constructed to make the payoffs satisfying. The first theme that is introduced is to try new things and to be bold. You're going to notice right off the bat that these two themes that I'm going to talk about are very simple. The main character, Ian, is shown as being shy and extremely introverted. He feels embarrassed to even invite people to his birthday party. However, through a bunch of milestones that are set up perfectly, he develops into a confident elf, which is a very strange sentence. It's kind of jarring to see how much he's changed if you compare the first scenes to the last ones. The second theme is all about trust. Not only Ian trusting his brother Barley, but also trusting yourself. It sounds like a simple message, and it is, but the questions that are subtly proposed throughout the movie make the theme a lot more complex. When should you trust others, and when should you trust yourself? When should you trust logic, and when should you trust your gut? The movie doesn't pick a side, instead showing us the benefits of both, and the mistake of using only one. The other thing I really like about both of these themes is not once does the theme feel like it's being shoved down your throat. It's actually pretty subtle but powerful when you pick up on it. I also really like the themes that leave the audience with questions. For example, slow and steady wins the race is an important thing to learn, but I don't think it will leave as much of an impact as some of these themes, just because the audience has no questions about the theme. Those morals should be inserted in little fables, not huge blockbuster movies. Another thing that soars in this movie is the animation. Much like DreamWorks' Abominable, you can tell that character design, animation, and world building are very important to this movie. The world they've created for this movie is so vast and beautiful. There are gems that you can put into staffs that create magic spells. There are dragons that destroy buildings. There are what feels like 100 different types of species. Much like another Pixar movie, Inside Out, this movie feels like it's taking place in a world that we're only seeing the tip of the iceberg of. They introduce so many new things, but somehow make everything make sense. Pixar had always been showcasing new worlds, whether that be about showcasing worlds of toys, worlds of emotions, worlds of monsters, or worlds of cars. In this movie, they stuck to what they're good at, showing us a world of Dungeons and Dragons characters. I think they nailed it. Though this movie is legitimately great, It's not the best animated movie of all time or anything. I think it could have been, but it really comes down to the ending for me. Many critics have said that the ending cheapens the whole movie. I won't spoil anything, but I just disagree. Obviously, I'm not going to get into it, but I disagree. That being said, I don't like how it's paced. The emotional beats are pretty good, but the problem with them is that everything is happening way too quickly. The ending tried to pull off a strong climactic battle and an emotional reconciliation and an emotional realization all in the span of 15 minutes. I mean, imagine trying to be emotionally invested in anything and then the movie is interrupted by plot yo-yoing, which is a term that I just made up. Here's what I mean. The third act starts with a huge realization that is supposed to shock the audience. After a tense action scene, Ian splits up with Barley. Because Pixar is incapable of creating a climax where the main characters are not split apart. Then, after an emotional scene, we're brought right back to a tense action scene, followed by another emotional scene. There's no way for the audience to prepare for an emotional scene because they just came off of watching a huge battle. The emotional beats don't hit as hard as they should as a result. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Onward. At the moment, I can't decide if I like it more than Force Awakens, but rest assured that they're both solid 8 on 10s. See it if you want. Or for my more esteemed recommendations, check out Green Fried Tomatoes. It's an incredible slice-of-life movie about an old woman who befriends a middle-aged woman, telling her stories about her life in the 30s. It sounds really bad, but it's one of my favorite movies. Or for a more recent watch, check out Missing Link. It's a great buddy road trip movie about a Sasquatch and an aspiring monster discoverer. It's not perfect, but it is my favorite animated film of last year. That's all for me. See you in the next vid. See you in the next video.